This is the Independent Network News. I'm Michael Flug with Panjway Perspective. Our top stories: 2 simultaneous mortar strikes on military bases in Zangabad and Zalakan. An important education shura involving top district leaders takes place in Kandahar. And an update on a land dispute threatening a new road near Nakone. We begin with mortar attacks. At exactly 12 noon, 2 simultaneous attacks occurred on military outposts. One in the western village of Zalakan, the other in the south, at Zangabad, relatively peaceful until today. These assaults caused numerous casualties. A Canadian news center crew was filming in the area during the attacks. Joining us now live is CNC's Aniceto Traspidermi. So Aniceto, tell us what happened.
Well, Michael, today's attacks came immediately after an important educational shura in Kandahar city. Insurgents threatened this meeting, but the mortars, when they came, were further south here in Panjway district. A pair of brazen mortar attacks launched by insurgents, just minutes apart. The targets? 2 military outposts in 2 different villages. Insurgents had threatened attacks. Today, they were good on their word. In Zalakan, the platoon house is hit. The injured were quickly taken inside, and our cameras are kept outside.
We have casualties. We are in processes to evacuate them. So right now, for your own security, you must leave the area because we don't know if we're gonna have a second attack.
20 kilometers away, in Zangabad, a different scene. Mortars struck near a military compound. Casualties are still lying on the ground as we arrived. Medics are tending to the wounded. Villagers plead with the Canadian forces to help their wounded relations. Battlespace Commander Captain Stéphane Guillemette said today's assault left many injured.
We've taken on indirect fire. Indirect fire. We've received 4 rounds. We've got the details such as where it came from and obviously where it hit. We've had a few injuries so far. We've got I think we're up to 8 people there. They're all being treated as we speak and will be evacuated very shortly.
In Zalakan, military vehicles arrived to take the wounded away over land. In Zangabad, half an hour after the attack, helicopters arrived to take the wounded to Kandahar airfield. Amongst them, both Afghan and Canadian casualties. Altogether in both villages, we counted 10 injured soldiers. Despite the numbers, Guillemette insists the area is still secure.
We're doing pretty good security-wise in the village.
Local officials agree.
Our villagers are happy that Canadian forces are in our village and that they help us make security in our village.
Still, many here feel the Canadian presence actually draws danger to their village.
It kind of gets frustrating at times, but you need to understand something. There are things that you can control and things that you can't.
Guillemette says security is within his control, but predicting an insurgent's next move isn't. For Malik Amjad Sahib, the worry is that the Canadians will leave before the Afghan security forces can defend themselves.
I hope that until security develops, soldiers will stay longer in Zangabad and the surrounding villages.
As the last wounded are flown out of Zangabad, questions remain. With the Canadian troops set to withdraw in just a few months, and attacks still a possibility, how secure is this region?
The trust they had in us was getting stronger every day, basically, and it's something we've been working on for the past since we've been here in Zangabad. And as I said, things are still going pretty good, and we're going to keep working that way.
So, Michael, as you can see, while locals want the Canadian military presence to continue, these attacks have made them worried, raising security fears, both for right now and when the Canadian military pulls out in 2011.
Aniceto, we heard in your report that you saw Canadian wounded today. What have the Canadian Forces said about this?
Well, Michael, we contacted the Public Affairs Office in Kandahar Airfield a short while ago. They declined to talk on camera, but they did issue us a press release, and right here, and it says, quote, ANSF personnel in proximity were evacuated from Zalakan and from Zangabad. There are no further developments at this time. Canadian Forces soldiers are trained and ready to respond to offensives, and these attacks will not deter the Canadian Forces from its mission in Afghanistan. The Canadian Forces are determined to pursue their mission and leave Afghanistan to Afghans in a country that is better governed, more peaceful, and more secure, unquote. As you can see, it's the policy of the Canadian Forces not to comment on casualties.
And any word on the injured Afghans today?
We're told it's up to the Afghan National Army to issue a statement regarding the wounded Afghans. So far, we have been unable to reach them for comment.
Okay, thanks for this, Aniceto.
You're most welcome.
That was CNC's Aniceto Traspidermi in Panjwai District. As we heard earlier, today's mortar attacks came immediately after a significant education shura in Kandahar city today. As Irtabat's Khalid Husseini tells us, that meeting marked a unified approach to schooling throughout Panjwai.
She was in the school, and then the Taliban came and took her away and then cut her nose.
We don't know her name, but we see the scars she suffered at the hands of the Taliban. Her only crime? Teaching.
Told her if she continues to come to teach, and they will kill her.
The threat against education is manifest in this young woman, but she, together with Panjwai leaders, gathered in Kandahar for a shura to talk about teaching the next generation of Afghans.
You know, you will not be killing yourself and other people. If you're educated, you will never be doing that.
It was a united front. The district leader, the head of the ANA, the director of education for Kandahar province, the representative of Canada in Kandahar, and many other military and civilian officials, all discussing security issues and new systems of informal education, teaching in homes or mosques.
The security is still not that good, so we try to get these kids to go to the informal schools. Once the security establishes in all these districts or all in these villages, then we can formally build a school.
Of special focus today, women's education, both young girls and older women, all in the hopes of eventually developing a formal education system.
And I wanted to proceed from elementary school to junior high and then high school and then proceed to college and university as well, of course.
As for this teacher, she defies the Taliban by continuing to teach, saying, like the others here, she'll continue her job for the sake of the next generation.
I hope that all our kids get educated and they would have a bright future.
For Irtabat, I'm Khalid Husseini in Kandahar.
As we just saw, many Canadian officials were at today's shura, there to offer support for new education initiatives. Steve Coate is the representative of Canada in Kandahar.
We've built schools, we are improving schools, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot more on that front in the years to come. Also, we've trained teachers, so there's a lot more teachers in Afghanistan, people in school, children, women, and men, so that I think is a notable progress.
All this is part of Canada's mentoring program in Panjwai District. Colonel Hercule Gosselin is the commanding officer of the Operations Mentoring and Liaison Team.
Working with the Afghan forces, it's a great opportunity. Everybody is open-minded. We learn from each other, and so we're growing as much as I think that they are working with us. And I think with developing a common knowledge, and as a result today we can see a great security plan being put into place, and people feeling really safe.
Now to a land dispute near Nakone. As INN's Alendria Brunges tells us, the legacy of Soviet occupation continues to raise problems in Panjwai.
A shura in Nakone today did little to quell the battle raging over this road.
I told them that I'm a poor man, I have a big family.
Aji Abdul Wali is one of the men fighting for the land this road runs through. The other is named Khan Zobair. Wali has been farming here for about 20 years and has a deed dating back to the Soviet era stating it's his.
And I went to the police station and complained about it. and so far I haven't heard anything.
So today, he walked into a regularly scheduled shura to make his claim.
If I can get my land back, good. If not, maybe if you can give me a different land, or if you can pay me the money, that will be good.
The Malik of Nakone says the issue is complex.
There's the money, and now the communist government is finished. Now Mr. Zubair seized his own land from everybody that the communist government give to them.
Complicating the issue further, contractor Amir Jan says he's employing about a dozen workers on the road project, and if it's cancelled, many will suffer.
Well, basically it means that there's a lot of reduction into local economy, like people that are going to have a hard time feeding their families and whatnot.
Canadian Forces Lieutenant Patrick Castonguay is the local civil-military cooperation operator. He says Canadians are working with the local governments to reach a solution.
Donc nous, on leur montre le chemin, mais c'est vraiment aux Afghans de résoudre leurs problèmes avec le gouvernement afghan.
The Malik says he will take the issue to district authorities in Bazari Panjwai.
This is a situation that we have to talk to district administrator and judge.
Those meetings will be held tomorrow, but a final verdict could take much longer. For INN, I'm Alendria Brunges in Nakone.
And now for another in our series of interviews with members of the Canadian Forces. We asked Marc Savoie how he felt about Canada's current role in Afghanistan.
Je crois que les dernières missions étaient bonnes, puis chaque mission s'améliore sur la dernière avec les erreurs du passé. Puis cette mission-ci, je crois qu'elle va être bien réussie. On va beaucoup aider la population, je crois.
We also asked Savoie how he felt about what would happen when Canada withdraws from Afghanistan in 2011.
Je crois que les gens vont commencer à à croire en nous, à croire en l'ISAF, puis à tourner leur dos aux insurgés pour améliorer leur sort, puis comprendre que dans le fond, on est là pour les aider.
We'll have further comments from Canadian Forces members on tomorrow's program. Now in TrueView weather. Saturday will be sunny with a high of 20. Overnight, it drops all the way down to +5. But on Sunday, it picks back up to a high of 18 and a bright sunny day. And that's Panjwai Perspective here on INN. I'm Michael Flug. Good night and bonsoir.